So today I want to talk to you about what adrenal fatigue is, and then giving you one thing that you can start doing today to begin your healing journey. So your adrenal glands are these small grape-like size glands that sit on top of your kidneys. And they're super important because they produce a bunch of hormones. They produce your aldosterone, your epinephrine, which is adrenaline, progesterone, testosterone, estrogen, DHEA, pregnenolone, cortisol, all of the important hormones your adrenals are responsible for producing. And so they're very, very important. And then pregnenolone is what your adrenals use to produce the cortisol, the progesterone, and the DHEA. And then the DHEA is used to produce your testosterone and estrogen. And just remember that because I'm going to talk about that a little more later. So in a normal, calm, daily life, your cortisol levels follow a gentle circadian rhythm. So that means that it starts rising in the morning to wake you up, and then slowly decreases throughout the day until it's low at night so you can go to sleep. Then when you are under a stressful situation, maybe you get in a fender bender or a deer runs out in front of your car, your body starts producing adrenaline and shoots up your cortisol levels to help you deal with that flight or fight response. And then once the event's over, it goes back to normal. What happens when you're in a chronic state of stress, maybe you're just a really hard worker, very driven person, you're a go, 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 or maybe you're a busy mom that stays at home and takes care of the kids and manages the household, or you're an athlete or just somebody that tends to overtrain. What happens is your body is constantly producing cortisol to keep up with your go, go, go lifestyle. And if you keep that up, you're going to end up with adrenal fatigue. So when you're first in this chronic stressed out state, you're going to have kind of wonky cortisol levels. Rather than them being high in the morning to wake you up, it's going to be low. So you're going to find that you're waking up tired, you're groggy, you're relying on caffeine to get you going. And then as the day goes, your levels are going to steadily increase until you get your second wind, like in the afternoon, late afternoon, early evening. And then when it's time for you to go to bed, you're going to find that you're wired and you can't go to sleep. And so that's a really hard cycle to go through. You're going to find that you're dealing with some moodiness and some irritability and maybe some anxiety. If you continue on like that, what happens is your body can't keep up with the cortisol production. So it starts taking the pregnenolone that is also responsible for producing the progesterone and the DHEA, and it's going to use that only to produce cortisol, to keep those levels up, to keep you alive, right? Because your body's trying to keep you surviving. So it's called the pregnenolone steal, and because your body is stealing that pregnenolone to produce cortisol, your progesterone and DHEA levels suffer. And DHEA is what makes estrogen and testosterone, so you're going to find those hormones suffer as well. And so now you're dealing with hormonal balances as well. So this is when the symptoms are really going to kick in, and you're going to have really low energy. You're going to find you have brain fog, low blood pressure. You might crave sweet and salty foods, and that's because cortisol actually is responsible for more than just the hormone production. It also regulates your blood sugar. It normalizes your electrolytes and your blood pressure, and it also controls the strength of your immune system. So you might also find that you are catching every bug and every cold that's going around that everybody else is getting. You'll probably run into irregular periods because of the hormonal imbalance. You may have a low sex drive, digestive issues. The list really goes on and on. But this is really where you're going to start feeling the depression and the unable to cope with stress and things like that. And eventually, if you keep going without doing anything about it, your cortisol levels are just going to tank and they're going to be super low, and you're going to just be struggling to get through the day. You may find that all you want to do is sit on the couch and watch TV because you just don't have the energy or the drive to do anything else. So that is what adrenal fatigue is. Let me know if you have any questions about that. I would love to answer them. And if you're watching the replay, like I said, I'll answer them afterwards. So the question is, what can you do today to start your healing journey? And this one is a really obvious one that you guys are all going to roll your eyes at me for, but it's reducing stress. So yeah, Charmaine, we know we need to reduce our stress, right? But that tends to be the last thing we do, because usually the stressors in our life, the major stressors, are things that we think that we can't change. We've told ourselves stories that this stress is necessary, we have to do it, we have to live like this, and there's nothing we can change about it. And that's really not true. That's really a mindset thing, and it's really just a limiting belief. So I want to talk to you about some things you can do to reduce your stress. So the first thing is make a list. Write down every stressor that you have in your life, everything that you can think of. Brainstorm. Don't worry about order or anything like that. Just jot them all down. Write down everything. Then when you're done doing that, then I want you to number them. So you're marking the greatest stressor to the least stressor. And then you're going to pick the ones that are your biggest stressors in your life, and that's what you're going to look to improve. So let's say your biggest stressor is your job. That's what it was for me. My job was super stressful. I really didn't like it, which made it even more stressful for me. But I felt very stuck, and I felt like I couldn't do anything about it. And so I changed all of these other things in my life, but I was not healing and feeling as good as I feel like I could, because I did nothing about that major stressor in my life. So it's not until you start making some changes that you're going to notice you're going to notice that you're feeling better, that your body's able to heal a little better. I mean, you can do diet, you can fix your diet and eat super healthy, but if you don't reduce your stress, you're not going to be able to heal. So let's just say that your job is your biggest stressor. I'm not saying that you have to go out and find a new job. That might be the case for you, but maybe you can cut back your hours, or maybe you can apply for a different position in the company. Maybe it's as simple as saying no when your plate is too full. Learning to say no is one of the hardest things for women, because we feel like we have to do everything and we have trouble asking for help. But saying no is huge, because it keeps those things that don't need to be on your plate off your plate, and so you can deal with it a little easier. If your stress is your kids, maybe you're like running around to practices and, taking them to appointments and school and play dates and all of these things. And so you're running around all the time. Maybe it's simply asking for help. Maybe it's starting a carpool service, not a carpool service, but a carpool group or something with some other moms. And that way you're not the one that's taking your kid every day. You take turns, and that way you can use that time for self-care. Maybe it's getting a massage or taking a bath or going for a walk, whatever, feels good to you. Another thing you can do is movement. Movement is really important, but I'm talking about easy movement. I'm talking about going on a walk, bike riding, maybe going swimming, doing yoga or stretching. Not exerting yourself. Exercise is a stress reducer, but when you're suffering from adrenal fatigue, you want to keep things very light and easy, because you don't want to put that exertion and stress your body out. So you have to be really careful with that, but light, easy movement is a really good stress reducer for you. Decreasing your caffeine intake, that's huge. You if you have adrenal fatigue, you're probably seriously addicted to caffeine because it's been what's getting you through. But really reducing that, maybe going from 2 or 3 cups a day to 1 cup a day will make a big difference, because caffeine does raise your heart rate and your blood pressure, and that creates a stress response in your body. Write down a gratitude list. I find that this is really, really helpful if you just write down everything that you're thankful for in your life right now. You know, your house, your car, your husband, your kids. Write down details of everything that you're thankful for, and that gives you feelings of happiness and joy. Like, really feel that gratitude, and that can reduce your stress as well. Laugh as much as you can. Watch a funny show at night instead of that serious drama. The more you laugh, the more your stress levels will go down. And another big one is affection. So hugging, kissing, you know, hug your husband for 20 or 30 seconds. It feels like a long time at first, but just if you just hold on to each other, not only does it improve your relationship, but it can also lower your cortisol levels and raise your oxytocin, which is going to make you feel good. Also sex too, but if you have hormonal imbalances, you might not have a sex drive, so that might not be something that you're super excited to do, but that would also really help bring up your oxytocin and lower your cortisol. And I already mentioned this, but learn to say no. Like I said, this is the hardest thing, but you know, everybody wants you to do everything, and you've got to say no, or else you're never going to reduce your stress. You're always going to be putting more and more on your plate. So learning to say no is super important. And the last thing is avoiding procrastination. This is actually a really big one, because you may not realize it, but when you're procrastinating on stuff, it's sitting in the back of your mind, and you're thinking, I gotta do it, I gotta do it, I gotta do this, I gotta get this done, I gotta get that done. But maybe you're putting it off because you don't want to do it, or you don't enjoy doing it. So yeah, avoiding procrastination, and actually, you know, one of the big things that you can do is make out a to-do list. Write down absolutely everything that you need to do, and then schedule it in your planner. So go through, make your to-do list, then schedule it all in your planner or on your phone, or however you keep track of your schedule. And that way, when the day comes, you already know what you need to do that day. You've got everything all scheduled out. So then when you do it and you have some free time, you're not thinking about all the other things you need to do, because you already did what you needed to do. And this is your free time, and everything else you need to do is scheduled, it's planned, it's gonna get done. So that can be super helpful for avoiding procrastination, because like I said, it does cause stress. If what I'm talking about is resonating with you, and you'd like to know more, or maybe you're wondering if you are suffering from adrenal fatigue, or you know, you just want to talk some more about it, I would love to talk to you. I will put a link to my calendar so you can book a free mini coaching session with me, and we can kind of talk about where you're stuck, and what you need to do to reach your goals, and what those goals are. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you all have an amazing weekend.